First, Senator Padilla, you have gone on for over 5 minutes, and I wish that you loved your state of California as much as you hate President Trump. We'd be in really good shape then.
I'm not getting an answer to my question. I'm trying to move on to the next question or the next topic.
I believe Director Patel is doing a great job. You know where he is right now, Senator Padilla? You asked me a question.
Yes,
Director Patel right now is in Chicago, Senator Durbin, fighting to keep Chicago.
You said it earlier in the hearing.
That moment hit hard. What was supposed to be a calm Senate oversight hearing quickly turned into a political firefight. You could see Senator Padilla trying to press for accountability and Pam Bondi firing back with personal attacks and statistics. In just a few minutes, this exchange captured everything people say is broken about Washington: deflection, tension, and zero answers.
Senator Padilla.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to participate in this hearing today, which is our, at minimum, annual opportunity to ask questions as we fulfill our obligation to provide accountability over the Department of Justice. So just sort of to level set a little bit for folks in the audience and for folks watching at home, the Department of Justice is supposed to be the nation's guardian of fairness and the rule of law. The power of the Department of Justice is built on public trust and a belief that prosecutions are based on facts and law, not on politics or personal loyalty. And I call that out, Mr. Chairman, because when that breaks down, when the public trust breaks down, then justice itself is at risk. But under this Trump administration and the leadership of Attorney General Bondi, I believe the independence of the Department of Justice has come under attack. The department has been reorganized, it's been realigned, and repurposed in ways that we've never seen before. Important offices have been closed, key programs dismantled, and agents diverted, all without congressional authorization or transparent justification. Now, these are not minor bureaucratic changes. They represent a fundamental shift in the Department of Justice's missions and priorities, its policies, and its practices. Now, for example, career prosecutors have been pressured to change decisions in politically sensitive cases. Ethics oversight has been taken away from independent career professionals and handed to political appointees with little experience.
Padilla sets the stage perfectly here. His tone is steady, but the substance is explosive. He's accusing the Attorney General of turning the Department of Justice into a political weapon. He's not attacking Bondi personally yet, but he's laying the groundwork for what's coming next.
According to reports, she was fired less than 6 hours after she told Bovino he couldn't arrest people without probable cause. 6 hours. So my first question, Attorney General Bondi, is a simple yes-no question. Do you believe that government officials like Gregor Bovino are obligated to follow applicable court orders, whether they agree with them or not, yes or no?
First, Senator Padilla, you have gone on for over 5 minutes, and I wish that you loved your state of California as much as you hate President Trump. We'd be in really good shape then, because violent crime in California is currently 35% higher than the national average. Property crime in California is 18% higher than the national average. That should be something that we should be talking about and working together on, yet we're not. And no, this is important. You're talking about all of my agencies, and I want to let you know what DEA has been doing, and they are working hand in hand with
I appreciate
security.
that. And I'm
no, you can't go on for 5 minutes and criticize my agents who are out working without pay right now because you voted to shut down the government.
This is where it all changes. Instead of answering, Bondi flips the script. She shifts from a legal question to an emotional political counterattack. It's a classic deflection, and you can see Padilla struggling to get the conversation back on track. This is the moment that went viral.
Mr. Chairman, I asked a simple yes or no question. Attorney General Bondi is refusing
4,500
to respond.
kilos of fentanyl and 50 million fentanyl pills
because
off the streets.
While under your watch,
FBI, 23,000 violent criminals. U.S. Marshals, 51,000 fugitives.
I'm not getting an answer to my question. I'm trying to move on to the next question or the next topic. Mr. Chairman, order, please. Thank you. Because under Attorney General Bondi's watch, career prosecutors are being fired for telling agencies to follow the law. and uphold the Constitution. Meanwhile, there are instances of allies of the president who seem to be getting let off the hook.
You can actually hear the tension rise in the room. Padilla is visibly frustrated. He's asking a yes or no question, and Bondi just keeps pivoting to talking points. It's uncomfortable, but it perfectly captures how accountability hearings often fall apart.
I have answered that question multiple times, yet you didn't have the courtesy to be sitting in here for the hearing. I'm not going to answer it again. And I find it interesting that you want order in this proceeding now. Excuse me, Senator.
Then
you
I'll
want
ask a
order in this
follow-up question.
proceeding
Mr.
now.
Chairman, order,
you sure
please.
didn't
I
have
will ask a
order when you
follow-up question.
stormed Secretary Nome
Mr. Chairman,
at a press conference
Chairman,
in California,
order,
did you?
I will ask a follow-up question. Would you commit to either releasing the tape or at least making it available for members of this committee to review, yes or no?
Senator, you have not been sitting in here this entire hearing. I've answered the question, and I also want to tell you that our ATF agents have seized 25,000 illegal firearms.
So we will try again and move on to different
in your
topics.
home state, we are prosecuting
Chairman,
illegal
order,
aliens
please.
who have raped
Mr.
and
Chairman,
murdered young
order, please.
girls.
That's another big moment. She flat out refuses to answer, which gives the impression she's dodging. And notice how she turns it into an accusation against Padilla for not attending earlier. That's not an answer, it's a diversion.
Thank you. So when I haven't been in this hearing, I've been watching from my office, monitoring the entire hearing, just so everybody is aware. But since I'm not getting answers to my questions, I'll try to ask one last subject area. No, again, there's been increasing concerns about the politicized decision-making and the erosion of internal safeguards that protect prosecutorial independence. Before we even get into the integrity and independence of prosecutions, we get into, you have to ask the question about the independence and integrity of investigations themselves. The director of the FBI.
At this point, the hearing has completely lost structure. Bondi isn't even addressing DOJ oversight anymore. It's become personal. That back and forth shows how easily political accountability transforms into political theater.
Director Patel was here before us just a few weeks ago. Attorney General Bondi, you are the Attorney General of the United States. Director Patel reports to you. Do you believe he's doing a good job, yes or no?
I believe Director Patel is doing a great job. You know where he is right now, Senator Padilla? Right now, you asked me a question.
Yes,
Director
I know
Patel
where
right
he is,
now
and I know
is
where
in
he's headed
Chicago,
because you said
Senator
it earlier
Durbin,
in the hearing.
fighting to keep
You said
Chicago
it earlier in the hearing, and yes, I have been paying attention.
You know, you want order in here now, yet you stormed the Director of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. You sure didn't have order that day, did you, Senator?
Attorney General, you are under oath. I did not storm the secretary, the video.
Oh, that was
makes
on
that very
video. That
clear.
video has been released, I believe, very publicly.
Mr. Chairman, recent actions raise serious concerns about Director Patel's judgment and politicization, including lawsuits from former FBI officials alleging retaliatory firings, and his decision to cut off longstanding partnerships with civil rights organizations, and his decision to fire an FBI agent for refusing to engage in a, quote, perp walk of James Comey.
And there's the closing play. Bondi ends on her terms, highlighting accomplishments to control the narrative. It's calculated, and it works for the audience that already supports her. But for those looking for transparency, it leaves more questions than answers.
And on top of all that, his prematurely claiming that subjects were in custody after the shooting of Charlie Kirk. I take Attorney General Bondi's endorsement today of his work as her support for those actions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
May I respond, Senator Chairman?
Yes.
Under Director Patel, 23,000 violent criminals have been arrested, a 91% increase over last year. More than 1,500 child predators have been arrested. We are making cases in your jurisdiction constantly in California, and I wish you would care about those cases. We have disrupted 1,600 gangs and criminal enterprises, 1,600 gangs within this country, thanks to Director Patel and the great men and women of the FBI.
A Senate hearing that was supposed to be about justice and accountability turned into a verbal battlefield. What began as an oversight discussion quickly shifted into political theater. And the moment Senator Padilla started pressing for real answers, Pam Bondi pushed back with force. Padilla came in measured, methodical, prepared with examples and documents. He laid out a case that the Department of Justice, under Bondi, has drifted away from independence, that prosecutions, investigations, and internal decisions have become political. It was a serious accusation, but rather than respond with clarity or evidence, Bondi went on offense. Her first move? Personalize the attack. That line, "I wish you loved your state as much as you hate President Trump," wasn't spontaneous. That's a crafted rhetorical strike meant to throw Padilla off balance, to frame the entire exchange as partisan rather than procedural. And it worked. In that single sentence, the purpose of the hearing shifted. What should have been about the firing of Michelle Beckwith, a respected career prosecutor, became about California's crime rate and political loyalty. Bondi wasn't answering a question, she was reframing the story. And from that moment forward, the hearing spiraled. This is what political hearings have become. They're not really for the senators or the witnesses anymore. They're for the audience at home. They're for the cameras, the clips, the social media moments. Every line, every reaction, every outburst is designed to go viral. And that's the tragedy here, because these sessions are supposed to serve a fundamental purpose, to hold the most powerful institutions in our country accountable. They're supposed to be where truth meets sunlight, but instead, they've turned into soundbite battlegrounds. Look at how quickly the focus got lost. Padilla was asking about due process, about whether DOJ officials could be fired for upholding the Constitution. That's a huge question. It touches the core of justice itself. And Bondi's response? Not about the firing, not about the policy, but about California's violent crime statistics. That's not an answer. That's a political counterpunch. You can almost feel Padilla's frustration in real time. He keeps saying, "I'm not getting an answer," trying to steer the conversation on track. But Bondi doesn't give him that space. She pivots, raises her voice, and accuses him of shutting down the government, anything to change the subject. And this is where the hearing completely lost its structure. By the time they reached the topic of the dropped investigation into a Trump ally, neither side was listening to the other. Padilla was chasing facts, Bondi was playing defense through attack, and the rest of the committee was left to watch the two talk past each other. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about who's Republican or Democrat. This is about how the mechanics of truth have been replaced by performance. Both sides have learned that it's better to win the moment than to clarify the facts. And when that happens in Congress, the one place where truth is supposed to be documented on record, that's dangerous. Think about the bigger picture for a moment. The Department of Justice only has power because the public believes it's fair. That's it. The DOJ doesn't have an army, it doesn't control money, it controls faith. Faith that justice will be applied equally. And when that faith collapses, so does the very idea of justice itself. That's what Senator Padilla was really warning about at the beginning of his remarks. He said, when public trust breaks down, justice itself is at risk. And he's right, because if people start believing that prosecutions or investigations are driven by loyalty instead of law, then we no longer have rule of law. We have rule of power. Now, whether or not you agree with Bondi's politics, you have to admit her strategy is sharp. She doesn't play defense. She doesn't let questions control her. She floods the space with statistics, accomplishments, and emotional talking points. She takes the oxygen away from criticism by overwhelming it with motion and noise. It's deliberate, and politically it works, because the average viewer watching live might not track every detail of Padilla's question, but they'll remember Bondi saying, "We took 50 million fentanyl pills off the streets," or "We arrested 23,000 violent criminals." Those numbers sound powerful, even if they have nothing to do with the question. That's the art of political communication. You don't answer, you redirect. And for Padilla, that made his job almost impossible. He tried to play it straight, legal, logical, respectful. But hearings like this don't reward patience. They reward punchlines. He needed to reclaim the narrative, but by the time Bondi accused him of storming Secretary Noem's press conference, the hearing had officially turned into a spectacle. And here's the irony. Both sides walked away satisfied for completely different reasons. Bondi supporters saw strength, a confident attorney general refusing to be cornered. Padilla supporters saw courage, a senator standing his ground against political intimidation. But the real loser was the public, because neither side actually clarified what happened inside the Department of Justice. No one confirmed why a prosecutor was fired. No one explained why certain investigations were dropped. The core questions remain unanswered. This isn't just a one-day story. It's a pattern. We've seen this same movie with different casts, fiery hearings, partisan clashes, and zero accountability. It's reality TV disguised as government oversight. And every time it happens, the American people lose a little more faith in the process. Let's not forget the human story here. That name, Michelle Beckwith, flashed for a few seconds in this entire hearing and then vanished. She's not a political talking point. She's someone who spent 15 years serving her country, only to be escorted out of her office 6 hours after reminding an official to follow the Constitution. That's the kind of story that should dominate a hearing like this. But instead, it got buried under noise. That's the real cost of political theater. The truth gets smaller every time the spotlight shifts, and the people most affected, the career employees, the investigators, the whistleblowers, get lost behind the stage. So what do we do with all this? First, we have to recognize what's really happening. These hearings are now battles for narrative control, not truth discovery. And if the public doesn't demand better, if we treat these viral moments as entertainment, then the people in power have no incentive to change. Second, we have to remember that accountability isn't about who yells louder. It's about who answers the question. You can have passion, but it has to be paired with honesty. Otherwise, it's just noise with lighting. And finally, we need to protect the integrity of oversight itself. It doesn't matter if the administration is Republican or Democrat. The moment a Justice Department stops being answerable to elected officials, it stops being just. So, if you're watching this and you felt frustrated, good. You're supposed to. That frustration is a sign you still believe this system should work. But belief alone isn't enough. We have to stay informed, we have to stay vocal, and we have to call out both sides when hearings turn into showdowns instead of investigations. Because when truth becomes a debate tactic, democracy becomes a performance. So, now I want to hear from you. Was Pam Bondi defending herself against partisan attacks, or was she dodging legitimate questions about her leadership and the Department of Justice's independence? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more real political analysis. Not the sound bites, not the spin, but the full story. Because democracy deserves context. I'm your channel name, and this was your deep dive into the Bondi Padilla hearing. See you next time.